We often hear advice that to get rich, you must cut out your $3 morning coffee or bury your face in Excel spreadsheets to track the price of a bunch of asparagus. That is garbage. Obsessing over $3 questions will never make you rich. It will only exhaust you. If you are stuck at a $50,000 per year salary, it's not because your boss is evil. It's because the market has priced your current skill set at exactly that amount. You cannot frugal your way into becoming a millionaire. It's time we talk about expanding your earning power through skills. Now let me say something that's going to make a lot of you uncomfortable, and I need you to sit with that discomfort for a minute, because this is the exact thing nobody in your family, nobody in your friend group, and definitely nobody on financial Twitter is going to tell you straight. You are not paid for how hard you work. You are not paid for how early you wake up. You are not paid for how many hours you grind. You are not paid for how loyal you are to your company. You are paid for one thing and one thing only: the size and scale of the problems you can solve. That's it. That is the entire game. Everything else is noise designed to keep you exactly where you are. Think about this for a second. A Walmart cashier shows up at 5 in the morning, stands on their feet for 9 hours, deals with rude customers, lifts heavy boxes, scans 1,000 items, smiles when they want to scream, and goes home to maybe make $15, $16, $17 an hour. That person is working harder than 90% of people I know, harder than most executives, harder than most software engineers sitting in air-conditioned offices clicking on Slack. So if effort and sweat were the currency, that cashier would be a millionaire. But they're not. They're barely covering rent. Why? Because the problem they solve, scanning a barcode, is a problem that anyone with 2 functioning hands can solve. The market doesn't reward effort. The market rewards scarcity of solution. And if your solution can be replaced by literally any warm body off the street, your paycheck is going to reflect that, no matter how much your soul bleeds into the job. Meanwhile, somewhere in a high-rise, there's a 32-year-old who rolls in at 10 in the morning with a cold brew, sits in 3 meetings, sends a couple of emails, builds a marketing funnel that pulls in $2 million in revenue for the company, and pulls down $250,000 a year. Is that person working harder than the cashier? Absolutely not. Are they smarter as a human being? Probably not. But they solve a problem that very few people can solve, and the problem they solve generates millions of dollars for the business. So the business pays them generously, because if they didn't, somebody else would. That is capitalism. That is not evil. That is not exploitation. That is just math. Cold, hard, unsentimental math. And the sooner you accept that math, the sooner you can start playing the game in your favor, instead of crying about how unfair the rules are. I know what some of you are thinking right now. You're thinking, but the rich have an unfair advantage. They were born with money. They went to fancy schools. They knew the right people. And I want to tell you, with as much love as I can muster, please stop. Please stop saying that to yourself. Because every single minute you spend believing that story is a minute you could have spent learning a skill that would actually move the needle on your life. The victim mentality feels good in the short term. It really does. It lets you off the hook. It tells you that your situation isn't your fault, that some shadowy elite is keeping you down, that your boss is the villain, that the system is rigged, and I get it. I really do. But here is the harsh truth. Even if all of that were 100% true, complaining about it changes absolutely nothing about your bank account on Friday. The only thing that changes your bank account is increasing the value of what you bring to the marketplace. Period. That is the only lever you can pull. So pull it. Your boss is not exploiting you. Your boss is paying you exactly what the market says someone with your current skill set is worth. If you quit tomorrow, your boss could replace you in 2 weeks with someone roughly equivalent. That's not personal. That's not malicious. That is just the supply and demand of labor. If you want to be paid more, you have to become harder to replace. You have to solve a bigger problem. You have to acquire a skill that makes the company say, "We absolutely cannot lose this person." That is how you get a raise. That is how you get poached. That is how you build leverage. Not by working longer hours and hoping somebody notices. Hoping is not a strategy. Hoping is the most expensive thing you can do with your career. So let's talk about this shift in thinking, because this is the entire foundation of what I am trying to drill into your head today. There is a difference between asking $3 questions and asking $30,000 questions. Most people, including most of your relatives who keep giving you advice, spend their entire lives obsessing over $3 questions. Should I get the name brand cereal or the generic? Should I drive 10 extra minutes to save 4 cents a gallon on gas? Should I cancel Netflix to save $15 a month? Should I clip this coupon for $1 off paper towels? These questions, even if you answer all of them perfectly for 30 straight years, will save you maybe a few $1,000s a year. And that's being generous. Meanwhile, the mental energy, the time, the spreadsheet hours, the joy you've drained out of your own life, all of that is gone forever. You can't get it back. You traded years of your life for the privilege of buying generic ketchup. Now contrast that with someone who asks $30,000 questions. What does a $30,000 question look like? It looks like, how do I negotiate a raise so my next paycheck is $15,000 higher per year? That's a $30,000 question. It looks like, how do I learn to implement AI tools at my current company so I become the person they cannot fire? That's a $30,000 question. It looks like, how do I learn the basics of sales so I can move from a fixed salary into a role where my income is uncapped? That's a $30,000 question. It looks like, how do I learn digital marketing so I can run paid ads on the side for a small business and pull in an extra $2,000 a month? That's a $30,000 question. It looks like, how do I set up automated investing so every dollar I earn is working 24 hours a day without me thinking about it? That's a $30,000 question. One single answer to one of these questions can be worth more than a decade of clipping coupons. Let that sink in for a moment. I want to paint you a picture, because abstract advice doesn't stick. Stories stick. So let me tell you about two people. Let's call them Sarah and Marcus. Both are 28. Both make $50,000 a year. Both want to be financially free one day. Both have about 3 hours of free time every single evening after work. Now Sarah has been told her whole life that being frugal is a virtue. So Sarah comes home, opens up her laptop, and spends those 3 hours on a spreadsheet. She tracks every grocery receipt. She compares the price per ounce of olive oil at 4 different stores. She drives across town to use a coupon for $2 off cat food. She makes her own laundry detergent. She brews coffee at home in a 14-year-old coffee maker that she refuses to replace because the new ones cost $40. She is a saving machine. She saves maybe $300 extra a month from all of this combined effort. After 10 years of this, Sarah has saved an extra $36,000 on top of her normal savings. She is exhausted. She has no hobbies. She has not been on a real vacation in 7 years. She is still making $50,000 a year because she has not invested 1 minute into raising her income. Now, Marcus. Marcus comes home, eats dinner, and spends 1 to 2 hours every single evening on a laptop learning a skill. The first 6 months, he learns the basics of digital advertising, free YouTube tutorials, free articles, free AI tools that walk him through it. He doesn't pay for a single course. After 6 months, he reaches out to a small local business, a dentist, and offers to run their Facebook and Google ads for $1,000 a month. The dentist says yes, because Marcus speaks the language now. That's $12,000 a year, on the side, working a few hours a week. The next year, Marcus uses what he learned to negotiate a new role at his day job that pays $70,000. The year after, he picks up a second client. Now he's making $70,000 from his job plus $24,000 on the side. He is at $94,000 a year. Sarah, meanwhile, finally figured out how to save another $50 a month by switching to a different toilet paper brand. After 2 years, Marcus is making nearly double what Sarah makes, and he didn't have to give up dining out, vacations, or a single cup of coffee to get there. This is the part that should make you furious. Not at Sarah. Sarah was just doing what she was told. The fury should be aimed at the entire culture that programmed her to play defense for 30 years while never once teaching her how to play offense. We have been raised, especially those of us whose parents grew up in a different economy, to believe that saving pennies is the ultimate financial virtue, that spending money is sinful, that if you just deny yourself enough small pleasures for long enough, you will eventually arrive at the promised land of wealth. It is a lie. It has always been a lie. And it is becoming a more dangerous lie every single year, because inflation eats your savings faster than you can stack them, and your earning ceiling is no longer determined by your zip code or your degree or your hometown. It is determined entirely by what you are willing to learn between the hours of 7 and 10 p.m. There's a particular flavor of this lie I want to call out, because it makes my blood boil. It's what I call toxic frugality. You know the type. The person who refuses to ever go out to dinner with friends because the appetizer is $12. The person who brags about not having bought a new piece of clothing in 5 years, like it's a badge of honor. The person who lectures everyone in the group chat for ordering an Uber instead of taking 3 buses across town. They have built their entire identity around the deprivation. They have made joy itself the enemy. And here is the dirty secret. Most of these people are not rich. Most of these people are barely treading water, just like everyone else. They have just convinced themselves that their suffering is morally superior to your suffering. They are not investing the money they save by skipping the latte. They are just not having the latte. The deprivation is the whole strategy, and the deprivation is leading them nowhere except a sad, joyless life that ends with them realizing at 65 that they could have just earned more and lived a little. There is no moral superiority in starving yourself of small pleasures. There is no virtue in martyrdom over a $3 coffee. The universe does not hand out gold stars for skipping dessert. The universe rewards value creation, and value creation requires energy, focus, creativity, and yes, sometimes a damn coffee. So if the coffee makes you function, drink the coffee. If dinner with your friends keeps you sane, eat the dinner. The path to wealth is not paved with denial. It is paved with skill acquisition. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the college degree. I know some of you watching this have a bachelor's degree in something useless, and you're drowning in student loans, and you have been told your whole life that the diploma was the magic ticket. And I know some of you don't have a degree, and you've been told your whole life that you're locked out of high income forever. Both of you are wrong. Both of you have been sold the same outdated story. The truth is, in this current economy, 99% of the high-value, income-multiplying knowledge in the world is sitting on the open internet right now, completely free, waiting for you. You can learn to code from free tutorials. You can learn copywriting from free articles. You can learn sales from free podcasts. You can learn digital marketing from free YouTube channels. You can learn AI implementation by literally just talking to AI tools for an hour a day. The information moat is gone. It evaporated about 10 years ago, and most of the world hasn't caught up to that fact yet. The only thing standing between you and a 6-figure skill is your willingness to sit down for 90 minutes a night and actually do the work. But you have to actually do the work. And here is where most people fail, because watching one tutorial is not learning a skill. Bookmarking a course is not learning a skill. Buying a book and putting it on your shelf is not learning a skill. The skill is built in the doing, in the messy, awkward, embarrassing first attempts, in the projects that don't work, in the cold emails that get ignored, in the first 10 clients that say no before the 11th says yes. The internet gave you the library for free, but you still have to walk into it and read the books. And most people won't. That's not a bug. That's the feature. That is exactly why this opportunity still exists. If everyone did this, the wages for these skills would collapse. They don't collapse because most people would rather scroll through short-form video for 3 hours a night than spend 90 minutes learning something that would change their life. You don't have to be exceptional. You just have to be one of the few people who actually puts in the reps. So here's the routine I want you to seriously consider. I'm not asking for your weekends. I'm not asking you to quit your job. I'm not asking you to drop out of school. I am asking for 90 minutes a night, 5 nights a week. That is 7.5 hours a week, 375 hours a year. in 375 focused hours, you can become genuinely competent at almost any high-value skill. You can become a usable copywriter. You can become a usable digital marketer. You can become a usable AI implementer. You can become a usable salesperson. Usable means the market will pay you for it. And once the market pays you for it, the compounding starts. Let's do the math, because I want you to feel this in your bones. Let's say, after a year of this nightly grind, you negotiate a $10,000 raise. Just $10,000. Not life-changing on its surface. A lot of you would shrug and say, that's nice. But here's the magic. If you take that entire $10,000 a year and dump it into a low-cost index fund every single year for the next 20 years at a historically reasonable return, you are looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $400,000 to $500,000. From one raise, one. And if you stretch it out to 30 years, you cross over $1 million. From one conversation with your boss, from one skill that you learned over 1 year of disciplined evenings. Now compare that to how many $3 coffees you would have to skip to save $500,000. Go ahead, do the math. It is over 160,000 cups of coffee. You would have to live to be 300 years old, drinking coffee every single day, and skipping all of it to match what one decent raise plus the stock market does for you. That is the offense versus defense gap. That is the chasm between people who play to win and people who play to not lose. Now here is the trap. This is the part nobody warns you about, and it is the reason most people who do get raises still end up broke. It's called lifestyle creep. The moment your income goes up, every fiber of your being is going to whisper, you deserve this. You worked hard. Treat yourself. Get the nicer apartment. Get the nicer car. Get the nicer wardrobe. Upgrade everything. And just like that, the raise that was supposed to change your life evaporates into a slightly nicer set of dishes and a car payment that's $200 higher. You are now making more money, and you are exactly as broke as you were before. Maybe more broke because now your fixed costs went up, and you can't easily scale them back down. This is how people making $300,000 a year are still living, paycheck to paycheck. Lifestyle creep is the silent killer of every single income increase, and it gets you because it feels like a reward when it is actually a punishment in disguise. So the discipline I want you to commit to, the part that separates the people who actually build wealth from the people who just look like they did on social media, is this. When your income goes up by $10,000, your lifestyle does not move. Not 1 inch. The car stays the same. The apartment stays the same. The grocery budget stays the same. The dining out budget stays the same. Every single dollar of that raise gets funneled automatically into investments. Set up the auto transfer the same day the raise hits. Don't let it sit in your checking account where you can see it and feel it. Move it before your lizard brain even knows it's there. Then go get the next raise. Then move that one too. After 3 or 4 cycles of this, your investments are throwing off real money, and now you have actual freedom, not the fake freedom of a slightly nicer steering wheel. I want to validate something, because I know this video has been intense, and I know some of you are watching this from a place of real exhaustion. You are tired. You hate your job. You feel stuck. You feel like the system is rigged. You feel like you've been doing everything right and getting nowhere. I hear you. That feeling is completely valid. That feeling is the result of decades of bad advice and an economy that has shifted underneath you faster than the culture could update. You are not crazy for feeling that way. But here is the line I need you to walk. You can feel that exhaustion. You can acknowledge it. You can take a break. What you cannot do is let it turn into a permanent identity. You cannot let the complaining become the strategy. Because the world does not care how tired you are. The market does not care how exhausted you feel. The market only rewards value. That sounds harsh because it is harsh. But it is also the most liberating thing you will ever hear, because it means the power was always yours. The market is not punishing you. It is just waiting for you to show up with something it actually wants. Stop tracking the price of asparagus. Stop fighting your spouse over a $3 coffee. Stop building your identity around the things you deny yourself. Start asking the bigger questions. Start solving the bigger problems. Start treating your evenings like the gold mine they are. Start funneling every raise straight into the engine that actually builds wealth while you sleep. The next $10,000 is not in your couch cushions. It is not in a spreadsheet. It is not in switching cell phone providers. It is sitting in a skill 90 minutes a night, waiting for you to come pick it up. Don't just play defense, play offense. Click this video to see the exact 4-step script to negotiate a $10,000 raise with your boss next Monday.